Hello everyone, it's Molly here from Your Future Forward, and I'm so excited to bring you this brand new series called the Apprentice Diaries. It's completely dedicated to apprentices in celebration of National Apprenticeship Week, and it's full of conversations with loads of different guests from top firms and top companies to give you an insight into what it's really like to be an apprentice. Don't forget to leave a review on Apple Podcasts if you do enjoy them. That would really help us reach more people and help more people that are considering apprenticeship. So it's massively appreciated from our side. But for now, enjoy the episode. For this episode, I am joined by Zoe and Elia, who are from Santander, both doing a data science apprenticeship, but they both come from quite different backgrounds and found apprenticeships in a different way. So I thought it'd be great to have you both on the podcast to talk about your different experiences and how you're finding Santander after being there for a while. So if you'd like to kind of introduce yourselves, tell us a bit about how long you've been at Santander, your age would be great as well, and just, your general qualification. Zoe, if you want to kind of kick us off and introduce yourself.
Yeah, of course, sure thing. So I am Zoe, I'm 20 years old, and I am originally from West Sussex, down south in the UK, but moved to Spain when I was quite young. So I've lived there for the majority of my life, and I did my A-levels over there, but didn't really fancy the university route, like many people don't, but it was the only thing I was taught about. So I started Googling and researching different alternatives. And on the government website, there's an apprenticeship kind of vacancy listing. And there I started applying to loads of them, probably about 50. And I
Wow.
got a call back for Santander, and only for Santander. So I'm very grateful. They said yes. And I went for an assessment centre, and that was about 4 hours long. Probably Elia remembers that too. It was quite intense, and it was fun though. A lot of learning about, are you right for the role? Do you have the right behaviours? And what do you think about Santander type of thing? And I have been working here for about a year and a half on the apprenticeship and loving every minute of it.
Great. That's so good to hear. And Elia, if you'd like to introduce yourself as well.
Hi everyone, so I am Elia Ibrahimi. I am 27 years old. I'm originally from Albania and I've been living in UK for around 5 years now. I've been working for Santander previously before my apprenticeship, so I'm at the same level degree as Zoe, as a data scientist working for Santander. I worked for around 2 years and a half as a customer service advisor in branch, and then I found this apprenticeship in internal vacancies. And I thought, why not? So I applied and here I am.
I think that's great. And both of your stories are obviously very different from what we've just heard. But I guess just jumping straight in off the back of that, Elia, I guess what does an apprenticeship look like internally? So you were working at a branch, that's how you started, were there for a couple of years. And when you saw this apprenticeship, what actually made you go for it? What made you think, okay, this sounds really cool, this is for me?
Well, the idea is that IT is my passion. So back in my country, I've studied what is called economic informatics. So I had already studied some IT fields, some IT subjects, and I was loving it. So I wanted to get into that field. And when I was looking for promotions in the branch, there were all customer facing roles, apart from even specialization, let's say, even being like a mortgage advisor or something, all of them were customer focused and none of them had to do with IT. So when I was looking at the internal vacancies, I filtered under the IT and this apprenticeship came up and I was like, wow, I want to do this. I didn't know, I wasn't sure what data science was because it's quite a new field. And I did some research and I was surprised of seeing that how many things you can do with data and how data is used in nowadays to transform everything that is offered in the market. So yeah, I just directly jumped into that. I was like, this is what I want. I want to go for it. And I didn't know what was going to be the experience, but I do like challenges. I do like new things. So I applied for it.
Yeah, I think that's such an important thing to have as well as an apprentice. You kind of have to be self-motivated. You have to want to take on the challenge because you'll probably face a lot being an apprentice. But I think it's great to have you here on the podcast. And you've probably been, not to make you feel old, but the oldest person that I've interviewed for the series. But I think it's really great to, show people that I think a lot of people have this perception that it's for when you come out of school and an apprenticeship is for school leavers, but I think they're a great way to get into a different industry. There was a guy on my Google apprenticeship actually that was in accounting before, and he was in a huge firm earning a lot of money, and he sacrificed all of that to get into digital marketing. And I think they're a great way to enter a new field, like you said, and you're obviously very passionate, and that's probably why you got the role, and I think it's great to hear about your experience.
Definitely. And just add on to that it is any age, and even like Elia knows that on our cohort there's a lovely lady who's 34, 35, correct me if I'm wrong, and she was a branch manager, but she also wanted a change of career and wanted to try something new, so it's definitely not out of anybody's reach, is it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's just stripping it right back to figuring out what you want to do. And if you're passionate about something, an apprenticeship is a great way to kind of enter that field. And then from there, you build your network, meet all these different people, have all these different challenges, like you said. And it's a great experience. So I guess you mentioned data science, pretty broad. I think a lot of people listening would probably like to understand a little bit more about what it is. And coming from a digital marketing background, I found it really interesting because we've had conversations before. So Zoe, I guess if you want to take the reins and just kind of dive a bit deeper into what data science actually is, what do you do day to day? What does that look like for you in Santander?
Yeah, of course. Well, same as Elia, I didn't know before I joined what data science was, and on the application it kind of just said if you've got a love of maths, of IT, and you're kind of willing to learn new things and do research and stuff like that, it's definitely for you. And so since then, as you say, it's very up and coming, it's quite a trendy topic, and it's a lot of things. I think it's just a way for us to understand data and actually leverage it and use it to our advantage when we're making decisions, and also just help us predict things. And the best example someone told me is if you could tell a customer they're going to end up in debt 6 months prior, you could actually save that person a lot of agony and a lot of trials and tribulations. So I think that's the main part and the good side of data science, actually.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in the world that we live in now, the power of data can scare a lot of people. But like you said, it has so many, positives and so many benefits that it can bring people. In a data fueled world, it helps a lot more than people probably think, because they just see the social media side of it and kind of the invasive side almost, but it can do a lot of good as well. And you mentioned that the application said maths, and we've had this conversation off camera, but I'd love you to share kind of your experience with. I think it's interesting and is a really important point to raise that applications can only say so much, and it's so important to build your network. If you're considering an apprenticeship, speak to the apprentices that are actually there. They know what it's like and they know their own experience, and it's more than just a piece of paper. So without scaring people off with the word maths, like I'd love you to kind of share your experience of that whole thought process, I guess.
Yeah. I was about to say, you don't have to love maths to do it. In fact, probably no one on our cohort actually loves the formulas and the numbers except for me. So you definitely don't have to love maths, but it is there in the background doing the work. So you can input code and, press buttons. But if you're more interested to like learn the behind the scenes, that's also useful to know. But it's a mixture. It's very like about business and strategy and trying to plan how to work with profits and reduce costs. It's also about coding. So that's something I knew nothing about coding or programming or how to use Excel, if I'm being honest, before I joined. And they've just helped us immensely along the way. And there's been a lot of self-teaching as well. In your own hours, you can kind of just Google and research and find tutorials online. I think it's so amazing that there's a lot to offer on like YouTube and all these different courses. So that's kind of the main part of our day, I think, as well as other like soft skills such as stakeholder management and stuff. So there's a good variety of skills that you can use.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a really great thing to note as well. And are you guys both in the same team, or are the apprentices split up? How does that work internally?
We are split up. Every apprentices, we move in different departments. It was supposed to be 6-month basis, but it's changed because of COVID. But anyway, they managed this really good, and we've been having different experiences, and we get to choose which is our preferred department to go in, and then they decide where they can put us. So it's very beneficial for us, I would say, because you get to apply your role in all different angles, and then you've got the chance at the end to choose. So yeah, it's really great. I am so for example, I was on the customer insights and needs department in this rotation, and I had a lot of projects focused on the services and products that we offer to customers behavior, and I think Zoe was on another one, internal audit, which is a different one. So yeah, it's quite interesting the way they split us up and for us to go from one department to the other.
Yeah, I think that flexibility is great as well, because everyone is entering the industry. They're quite new. If you have some experience, you won't have, you don't have loads. So it's a great opportunity to kind of see what you like, figure out what you actually want to do. And when you say you can kind of tell them tell Santander your preferences of what team you would want to be in, is that from the outset, or is that due to COVID changes and working from home, or is that something that you can kind of put in your application?
I think that's something that builds up as you spend longer in the business. It's not something just from the pandemic. They've always been doing it with apprentices and graduates in Santander. Whereas if you're networking and meeting new people and going to meetings and learning about different departments, there's nothing to stop you from going there. There are no boundaries. I've always said this about Santander. You feel free to go out and speak to people and see if they're looking for a data science apprentice, see if they're looking for someone that could help with them for certain aspects. So it's definitely open to any department. Like just Elia said, she's in customer insights and needs, and I'm in internal audit, and those are very different departments. And then there are people in finance, people in accounting. There's just all over the place. There's no limit.
Yeah, great. And when you say you're in different teams, is there a strong network internally with apprentices? Are you able to discuss kind of what you're all learning, or is it time constraints if you don't really have time to speak to each other? How does that work?
We try to. We've created these groups and we try to get together. Zoe especially is very good at creating all these network groups. But even Santander does take care of it. So they do create sessions where we all get together and we share not only work stuff, but even like personal life stuff. So it's just like free chat with everyone, get to know what everyone is doing. And yeah, you might end up just asking the other apprentices what they do in their department. You might end up in their department next just because you like the conversation you had with them. And yeah, we it's kind of like it comes naturally that we build. It's like friendship. We do go out on the Microsoft team.
Yeah, virtually
we have
now.
a chat together. Yeah. So yeah,
Oh, that's great to hear. And I think it's important for some people that are choosing this option instead of university. That is a lot of people's worries is, will I end up with no friends? Will I be surrounded just by older people? But I think it's so important. Not only do you have that network, but a network full of different people like you two, for example, you're from completely different backgrounds. And yeah, I think it's so interesting that you get to see each other every day, or at least have built this bond over this apprenticeship. I think it's really nice to see. And I've definitely felt that with my apprenticeship as well. So I think that's so important. And I guess
I completely agree. And sorry, but just say that we're not just apprentices, we're not just colleagues, but we're actually friends, and we just talk outside of work, and we'll have daily catch-ups normally when we're not too busy or not doing studying. There's a few of us that have formed really good bonds and really good friendships that I think hopefully will last forever. I hope you agree, Elia. But it's so much fun that we're friends. We don't need to socialize at work. We used to hang out and just have lunch whenever, and it was so much fun. So yeah, you could
back in the good old days.
Yeah, back in the good old days. There's definitely a social life.
100%. I felt exactly the same as well. So I'm glad that you guys feel the same and have shared that experience. And I guess moving on to next steps for you guys. So I believe it's a degree apprenticeship, right? You'll come out with a degree qualification. And are you planning to stay in Santander? Is that option there for you? Will you look onto external opportunities? How does that process all work at the end? And how long do you have left till you finish actually?
Well, I think we've got 3 more years left to do. And we are free to choose. There, of course, there is opportunity for us within Santander. That's have become clear for us since the beginning when we applied. They've said that we will help you get the role you want, but we are open to apply to external vacancies as well. So there's no restrictions at all. You just choose wherever you want to go for it.
Yeah, I think the fact that pressure isn't there as well to stay on at the company, but the option is there if you want it is so important, and it's great that they kind of guide you with that. What about you, Zoe? What are your thoughts on next steps?
Quite far away, just as just as it's been said, we've got like 3 years left, so I'm happy to just go with the flow and keep building my network, keep meeting new people, because it is about the teams that you meet along the way, because obviously there's the official roles that are available, but if you make good connections, hopefully those previous teams you worked in can offer you a role at the end of it. I've heard experiences from different apprentices that have said that's happened for them, and even some apprentices that have gone like straight on into being managers and being like really high up specialists. It's amazing to hear, and it's really inspirational, so hopefully that can be an ambition for us to get to after it.
Yeah, and with apprenticeships in general, it sounds like it's a lot down to the individual. So it really depends on you as a person, what you want to do. And everyone has different motivations as to why they choose an apprenticeship as well. So it sounds, it's really interesting to kind of hear all the different things everyone wants to do. And I'm so jealous that you got 3 years left, because I only had like a year and 3 months, I think it was, in Google. And from what you've said of your experiences already, you've clearly got a lot out of it. And the fact that you're going to get 3 more years of that is amazing, and a degree at the end. So yeah, it sounds like your experience has been really positive. And just to kind of finish off the episode and leave kind of thoughts with the listeners, what's one thing, your biggest takeaway from your apprenticeship so far, or maybe a bit of advice that you'd like to give for people considering apprenticeships that are listening to this?
If I start, I would say that my biggest takeaway, comparing it to the fact that I've gone to university as well, is the experience you get in an apprenticeship. You can never get it somewhere else. So because we work in different departments, when we finish our apprenticeship, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be like fully confident where I want to work. While when I finished my university, it was kind of like, oh, I felt lost. And I was like, what do I do now? Which company do I apply to? So you do learn a lot in university, but you don't build, let's say, too much on your soft skills. You don't build too much on the vision you want, like you are not clear what you want to achieve. While with the apprenticeship, it can even come up, even after the first rotation, you can be, oh, I didn't like this, so I want to do something else, or I like this project, so let's go on that one. You can never find this anywhere else.
Yeah, I love that. I completely agree as well. And it's so interesting to hear it from your point of view, having gone to university as well, because we could sit here all day and say apprenticeships are amazing, but we've never had that other experience. So that's really, insightful to hear. What about you, Zoe?
Oh, that's a hard one to follow. I like your advice. I guess mine would just be about the apprenticeship is not out of anybody's reach and anybody's capabilities. You are learning with the scheme, and the amount of support that you are offered. We had buddies, mentors, apprentice managers, activity managers, line managers. Safe to say, you're always supported and going to be guided well. So you're not alone in your development. I thought that when I first started, oh my goodness, I know nothing about coding. I don't know anything about business or strategy or Santander, but they really help you learn, and it's not out of anybody's reach.
That's great. And it sounds like a great company to do an apprenticeship in as well. And you both sound like you've really enjoyed it and you've been so supported the whole way through. So I think Santander have a lot of opportunities yearly, right, with degree apprenticeships and other qualifications. So if you're listening to this, it's definitely a company worth checking out, because from what I've heard from you two, it sounds like an amazing experience and just a great company name. So thank you so much for both joining me today on the podcast. It's been so interesting to chat and hear about both of your journeys.
Oh, thank you for taking the time, Molly.
No worries.
Thank you. It was very nice chatting with you.
You too. Thank you so much, guys. If you did enjoy the episode, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and share with any friends or family that you think might find this useful. There are so many other episodes with incredible guests, so don't forget to check those out. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Your Future Forward, where we share loads of different career advice and tips to help you navigate this working world. Thanks again for listening to this episode, and I really hope you enjoyed it.